I want to talk about optimization. Optimization for the stuff that I'm writing and getting it to not do, insane. But to be fair, the thing that's causing the performance problem isn't really my code per se. I want to talk about how to get optimizations done, right? Optimizations on CPU, it's just making the code do less work. Basically, spend the amount of time, the amount of power doing less work than it doesn't need to. It's being efficient at a task. And I'm looking at my code, and there's so much things that it's actually doing that doesn't really make a lot of sense. Now, for the last year, I've made a procedurally generated UI system to handle my UI, regardless of whether I'm on mobile, regardless of whether I'm on PC, regardless of whether I'm using OpenGL or Vulkan. I work across all platforms. Now, the problem is you have to iterate through each node and do a lot of rendering. Now, the problem is some of these things, they're still not optimized. There's still a lot of things that I needed to do to polish them. And I have a few things. So, for instance, the thick lines here, they're actually several single lines being iterated through. And this makes the blue slash right here. The blue slash right here, it's actually several little skinny little lines being drawn repeatedly. What I could do is turn it into like rectangle because I watched the quantitative bytes guy on YouTube. That's one optimization. A lot of the optimization in this, it can be easily done. So I'm just making this video as like a seed to plant to remind me when I look on my devlog channel to polish off the and what else? We can simplify this and we can turn all this into an image because right now I have plans for animated buttons, and it might increase the memory somewhat because what's going through it is what, 146 megs. It's actually using like 146 megs, but that's not actually bad. And it actually read a few bits of data from the hard drive, so I guess I had a good reason to write up, spend all that time writing it. It's very efficient, so it's time to just make it faster now. I feel that it was worth the time and effort it took to write these APIs because they're not eating a lot of resources, even though it's still unoptimized. Like it's still taking a 14% of CPU, but like I can get it down back under 10%. I can get to 8%. Can have it sipping power, and that's what I want at the moment. So I will make like a full-blown video and a script in the future and cut down the performance in this. This video is just a little reminder. So to sum it up, optimization is just making the CPU do less, do the same task, but with less effort or with less exertion, you know, in a certain time. So there must be a better way to make this render without letting it iterate through so many display nodes from the Sprite UI that I wrote to make it just render two images by just compressing this procedural stuff into an image in memory, and we'll just reach into memory and store it up accordingly, and just keep only animated nodes in memory. So yeah, it's still ways to go. So I'm just putting this as a seed. Right. I plan to focus on optimization a lot. As you can see by this computer's specification, there's not a lot of gusto in this computer. Has a lot of space, has a lot of RAM. And that's it. So yeah, just a small reminder, right? Because the buttons don't really work. And if I was supposed to go back over here, this bad boy actually has functionality and eats a lot less data. Let's load it up. Let's look up the other symbol, the one that's eating 6.8% of my resources. See that? Now, the reason why this file was complex is because I kept a script file for each UI button while I was iterating to make it a more functional app. So, you see this? It's actually eating 8.1% of CPU performance. All right, let me go back. Damn it, I can't stand that. Go back. It's still eating less CPU. It's still eating less CPU. This is more optimized than the actual exporter kit code that I wrote. And that's because it's lesser stuff to iterate through, and it looks better. It looks way better. It looks a lot more better than this. Like this UI is more livelier, but this is more simpler, it's more straightforward. I still got these buttons to correct, make it look a little bit more polished, but I need to import the FRL livery system into the code and make it actually read FRL liveries so I can take my artwork that I drew in the game and put it in the app so everybody could see it. That's not bad. I'm gonna use this playground mode to actually do my UI component stuff to actually, it'll draw my UI stuff and it will basically trace over the game's presets, the basic presets that they used to clip up like Lego blocks to make the liveries. I will trace them over and I will use it to make livery in this GUI, make it look a little bit more better as well. That will take some time, but like optimization matters, right? Optimization matters. Optimization matters a whole lot because this thing's eating way too much CPU power than actual need be. And that's a little messed up to me, so I kind of like was rehearsing this or talking this through my head, but it's completely like all the points I wanted to talk about. It was completely gone. So the next time when I make a full-blown video about this, it will be. I wonder if I leaked memory that made it allocate 2 extra megabytes. It's not really a problem at the moment, but it's still a problem to me. Now, as I said, I'll come back full strength, make a more scripted video talking about optimizations and what I plan to do to cut down the performance to get to 6%, 7% of CPU consumption while the exporter kit eats off what 11% up to 50% of CPU power. Optimization is important, so before I go hard out, all out, yeah,